Well, today we're actually going on the farm in Florida to see Angela Tenbroeck. I've known Angela for quite some time, and there's a little bit of a guilt by association here. So I'll maybe let her talk about that. I don't know, but the idea basically is, as she knows, is to give you all a little bit of information about what she's up to and how she got to where she's at. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand the virtual podium over to Angela. So Angela, the podium is now yours.
Thanks, Rob, and thanks, members of the WASH-E. I am grateful to be a part of the group. So who am I today? Where am I today? I guess I would tell you that today I'm a scientific farmer, and the way in which I farm is a little different than everyone else. So I farm, I do aquaponics, and many times people think aquaponics is this kind of hocus pocus way of farming. And I have endeavored for the last 5 years to bring aquaponics into a commercial opportunity for folks around the world. So today I previously, up until a year ago, ran the largest aquaponics facility in the United States. I designed it, I built it with the help of people like Rob, we grew high quality vegetables that were always available, the safest products you could find, no chemicals, no pesticides, no herbicides, with a bend towards helping the community. And so my goal has always been, in everything that I've done, to bring people into it. And it's a very important thing to me to get others involved in the ideas that are what I feel are life-changing, such as the water projects that we work on in the WASH. And so my interests today are around helping people around the world change the way they and their neighbors eat. So today I'm currently working on a project that's a kind of a research project in our city. We put this facility on a brownfield, and whereas that brownfield, no one can live there, the ground is not usable, and we're actually able to turn it into an edible landscape, never using the land, using the scientific principles of aquaponics, hydroponics, and some other green energies and such. So the whole place, the whole 10,000 square feet land mass is utilized to kind of change the community in which it's in. So the community that it's in is a kind of a struggling community in Jacksonville, and we're trying to change this landscape. So we work with the local people, we hire local women, we hire local men to help us build it, and we use people in the community to help us develop the land and such. So today we're building this project, but I as well have projects that we're working with in the Caribbean, as well as we are currently we're looking at developing a project in Africa. Those projects are sustainable in nature. We're using the scientific methods that I honed over the last 5 years, using lean practices, using a continuous improvement model, which is a little different. Lean farming is a little different than most people recognize. Putting tools for your workers at their hands so they don't have to waste time, labor, expenses are in time. And so that the tools are readily available for your workers, giving them cutting edge education and so forth. These are all things that we bring to the table when we come in and do a what we call aqua hortus facility. And so we utilize the water. We reuse water. We recirculate our water. So our technique, we do not have fish swimming below our plants. We actually are able to scientifically prove that the water below our plants has many of the components of soil. So we believe it to be better than organic soil vegetables. We have a controlled environment, so we're able to control so that bugs and pests do not get in. And we're finding that we're able to build these anywhere in the world with just a few modifications based upon where you are in latitude. So that's where we are today. Where I hope to be is kind of the Norman Borlaug story. If you know much about Norman Borlaug actually is credited with feeding 9 million or 3 million people, 3 billion people around the world. If you ever have an interesting story that you want to read about ag and how ag can change and how ag has changed over the last 100 years, Norman Borlaug will be somebody that you will hear about. And I hope to be the Norman Borlaug of the future, to help people be able to eat past the very foo-foo or just very generic basics that are not maybe nutritional. I'm hoping to be able to allow developing countries to diversify their opportunity in feeding their community and their neighbors, and maybe even having export to other areas in their country. So it is my goal. I work every day to hone the skills of the farms we build, to have continuous improvement in those farms. And so using that and then working with collaborations with people throughout the world, I feel that we can enhance the diets and the opportunities of our neighbors and our fellows, and for people in the future to live longer, healthier lives. That is really my goal. So we work in our farms. The farm we're developing is a research facility, and in many ways. And so we hope to bring this to the masses. We know that in order to feed 2 to 5 million people, we need 2.5 acres of salad greens. We need 5 acres of tomatoes. And we know we have exponential amounts that we know that are needed. So if we were able to turn barren lands into these controlled environment facilities, we would be able to feed people. Now, you may say, how does that matter to water? So here's how it matters to water. We're able to collect the water that you get from the rain catchment system that we design within our facilities. We are able to recirculate that water. In a facility that will have 25,000 holes in it that will allow you to push out that many holes. If you're turning salad greens, you can turn that many holes per month. If you're turning other crops, it's obviously less that you would have, but you would have a steady amount of food all the time. We are able to recirculate that water, and we use less than 5% of the water of a ground farmer. Our facilities waste nothing, so we have no runoff of our facilities. We utilize the fish waste in the facilities to reuse, to kind of build soil in the community of the facility. So our process allows us to be able to reuse the water, recirculate the water. It's safe. We've actually been able to prove that if the water is properly pushed through our facility, we can actually take water that is nitrate or nitrite filled and recirculate it through the facility. And when it comes back, we have had documented proof that it has 0 nitrates in it when it goes back to the fish and the cycle returns. We actually need 3,000 gallons of water a week to return, compared to in our facility, we have about 30,000 gallons. And the average farmer and the amount of land that we have has to put 30,000 gallons almost a day to irrigate his fields to produce the same amount of food. So we're able to, in 1 acre of land, produce around about 4 acres of food per month if we do it right. So, excuse me, yes, 1 acre to 4. So, and we try to turn that land 10 times in a year. So we're able to produce 40 acres of food in a 1 acre land spot. This is impactful. It changes people's lives. It's healthy food. It actually tastes like food is supposed to taste. It's not chemically induced and such. We also have been able to hone our skills and be able to give people other ways to use the fertilizer that comes out of the facility based upon the maintenance program that we've developed. So many people do aquaponics around the world. It is a great way of feeding people. It is the maintenance that is the most important, as well as because it allows you to have safe, high quality food year round. So if you're at the equator where you have really hot environment, or if you're on the lower end where you don't have a lot of light, we have solutions for every situation. So our company comes to the table with a lot of solutions to the very basic human need, food and saving water. So we're able to do that thing. So you may say to me, Angela, where do you see yourself in 5 years? It is my goal that we will be able to design and build facilities all around the world, putting women to work in these facilities. That's impactful. If I teach a man, it changes his family. If I teach a woman, it changes a community. So it is our goal, our company's goal. We primarily are women. We have a few men with us, but the women who work in our facility who do the training we are trained. We are women-owned facility, women-owned company who train women to do the work within these facilities. These facilities don't necessarily require a man to run them, whereas many farming facilities do need men to run them. So, and it's nothing against men. It's just that this doesn't require, it's not heavy lifting, so to speak. It's not machinery, a lot of machinery work. Not saying women can't do that. It's just that women do this differently. And so that's my goal, is to be in every country in the world, changing the lives of women and children because we're able to feed high quality produce. How do I get to WASH? Well, if you know, agriculture is the biggest offender of water around the world. We traditionally, my family had been farming. I just did my ancestry lookup. We've been farming for many, many, many generations. It's apparently in my genes. And so what we have done over the time is work the land. In the 1970s, my family started doing hydroponics. Now I'm doing aquaponics. So what we previously did was flood it. We did a flood our fields mentality. We flooded we hill planted. And if we had a rain in that time, the water runoff from our facilities was treacherous. We put ponds around our places, but we would grow interesting algae. So I always, as a kid, thought to myself, it just can't be right for the animals that are around. So we know that to be true today. No matter what government tells you that there's not global warming and we do not have a water crisis, we do. And as WASHI members, we know this. So I'm there after you guys drill the well. I'm there to help the people grow the food and have, a livelihood, economic development. So I see my role as, in this is I come as a scientist. I have a lot of education in this, but every day I'm farming and I'm teaching people how to farm. So if I can bring in my agricultural knowledge to help our group move forward, that's what I feel like I'm here to help with. And sometimes I do these presentations that I get to be a part of people, groups where I'm learning about how to be a good Rotarian and so forth. So my first gift has been this video that I've been working on, and I promise, Rob, it'll be done soon.
So, it's kind of funny because, you're talking about your history is coming from a farming family, and you talked about the farm and all that stuff, but you really didn't talk about your life before that one commercial farm. You weren't always a farmer.
No, I wasn't. So yeah, you always like that story, I know. So I was in medicine for many years. I was a medical teacher. I was the director of the only medical program in the United States that was 6 to 12 medical program. We developed it here in Jacksonville. So my goal in life, my early education was in women's sexual health. And so I worked to unionize the women in Thailand and so forth in my early education. And then I had the opportunity to be a teacher for 15 years. And that's the best job anyone can ever have, is to be able to teach kids medicine who want to change the world. You get to tell kids stories and be involved in their lives that allow them to change the world in medicine. So my education before I came to this was in medicine. And so I went through in the school system. I became kind of known as a person who started programs. So I worked in the Duval County Public Schools for many years as a person who began programs. So I opened Twin Lakes Middle School. From there, I opened Landon as an administrator. So I rehashed and repurposed schools. And then from there, I went to Mayport Middle because I wanted to go back to medicine. And so when I met the family that I started this farm with, Traders Hill Farm, I was at Mayport Middle School doing this coastal sciences program. And the coastal sciences program actually is a really interesting program. It's how I initially met Rob and his work. Was at Jacksonville University in that program. We were taking the kids there and turning this whole school that was struggling into this amazing coastal sciences program. So we offered a wet lab. I took a wood shop and turned that wood shop into a wet lab where we taught kids about the coastal environment and how to save the coastal environment from erosion, from many, many things. We worked in partnership with the Navy, Jacksonville University, maritime programs. So when our kids left Mayport Middle School, they were able to, they worked with the NERS and so forth. We did oyster restoration projects in the Chesapeake Bay. We did a whole variety of things. And I met this family that I kept talking to because I met them while I was teaching. Well, I wasn't really teaching. I was the grant administrator at Mayport. And I met this family that allowed me to try a project called aquaponics on their farm. And that's how my career commercial aquaponics work began. And that's when Rob and I really started working. But yes, my education is not in farming. My education is in medicine. And you may wonder why I left medicine. If you know anything about the United States right now, medicine has its own set of issues, as does farming, as does education, whole variety of things. I'm seeing it, I'm trying to keep positive and seeing it as America is going to start rebuilding, but I'm sad on a daily basis about things that are happening in politics. But that's for a different day and a different time.
So unfortunately, in this conversation, you put a lot of text speak. I'm going to hit you on a few. You use the term nerves. Can you explain what that is?
So that's ecological research. It's a governmental agency that does research primarily on the estuary and how to, because most people don't know this, but almost every sea animal begins in the estuary. And if we do not do rehab and educate our future generations about the estuary, we're in trouble. So the NER, I cannot recall what N stands for, but it's NERR, and it's the guana NER is where we worked. We replanted Spartina altiniflora and Virginicus, some other stuff, plants to keep the erosion. And then we did some oyster projects. Most people do not know that oysters filter 50 gallons of water a day. And if you have like in the Chesapeake, when we went to the Chesapeake to work, if you actually can take the oysters and put them, I have an interest in keeping water clean. And so you can actually take and stage in your water and put bee mats out, and you can actually clean using natural process such as aquaponics in farming. This is my side gig, whereas we clean waterways with oysters and native plants. You can actually take the native plants and Dr. Blora has done it too. You can actually put reeds or grass, and it'll actually do the uptake of harmful things out of the water and repair the waterways. So there's a lot of opportunities to do that. And my goal, as always, is to teach young people, because they are our future, how to repair, and just the knowledge alone keeps them from throwing things into the water. And if you make them clean it, it becomes especially important. So I participated in many, many years in the waterways cleanups. I received those awards, from the city as a teacher for my innovative projects. But we did, we took sands. When I was at Twin Lakes, we took the sands there and made dirt through biological remediation and such like that. So, we were able to do stuff with kids that people didn't really think. I believe in kids in a different way than a lot of teachers. If you give them ideas and let them create, you can actually kids will come out with better ideas many times than us adults if you just let them evolve and so forth. So I'm a really big proponent of getting kids involved in projects because it will spark, and they have their own set of ideas and knowledge. And if you allow them to exercise those, you actually are able to have some really great innovation.
So the other text speak that you used early on is lean, and I know lean being a business model used by the Japanese.
That's right.
You said lean real quick, and you said, and the application. I'm like, okay, so now I have to clarify what she means by lean in farming.
Yeah, so lean is it came from the Toyota plants, and Japanese idea, Kaizen and such. So, for instance, I'll just give you an example of what lean looks like to us. If a fish keeper is having to go back and forth between the tool crib and so forth to get his tools, it is a waste of time for not only the person who is paying him, but it's also a waste of his time for his job. So and as an example, we have all of his tools in his workstation ready for him, arranged in a specific way that is for ease of work, and it is put back in a specific way. So all of the tools of the trade are within the area of the tradesman. They are arranged and lined up. The manner in which we walk in our facility does not waste footsteps. The manner in which we grow food is as well. For our worker safety, for the worker hygiene, for the facility hygiene, you do specific practices. It is very specific in nature and very intentional, so that you do not waste energy. And it also relates to task, so that you make sure tasks are associated, that you get tasks done every day. So we are lean in our practices in many ways. Probably the easiest way for me to just begin, the first thing, is having the appropriate tools in the right place in an orderly fashion that are readily available to the worker that needs them.
It's really funny. Yesterday I talked to Katie Barnes, and Katie is interested in water and water issues at a watershed level. So when you talk about using oysters for water purification, that reminded me of Katie looking at her waterways. So I think what's going to be really exciting about this group in our E-Wash Club is that we have individuals that are specialists, whether it's in the engineering side and all that, like Bruce and Neil. Well, I'm not sure if Neil's a good example, because Neil is a lot of different issues. But you have engineers that are by education looking at a specific topic, and you have also people looking at broader ranges, whether it's water, agriculture, the watershed, and things like that. So I think it's really important that we all begin to start talking to each other, because there's a lot of really incredible cross-fertilization as we begin to talk and understand issues, whether it's issues of gender issues like Jessica talks about, issues of water relative to a watershed, as Katie is beginning to look at, and then of course we have the gender issues and cultural issues and the actual realities of an area you walk into, whether it's logistics or economics or cultural or whatever. So all those really tie into a sustainable project. So I think that the idea of saying, okay, we start with water in general, quantity versus quality. We say potable, we also begin to understand, as quite frankly, a lot of people, when you go to these big water forums at the international level, you begin to realize that when you say water, it begins to talk about a lot of issues, whether it's potable water, water sanitation, hygiene, or the politics of cross-border water disputes, or it begins to talk about water and agriculture and what we're actually doing as far as depleting aquifers and things like that. So I think it's really good to have that kind of cross-fertilization for multidisciplinary people individuals. So I think that having you as part of the club, obviously you were talking about you learning, but I think there's a lot to learn from your side too. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful to be a part of it, and I hope to be able to give more if I can.
Oh, you will.
I'm sure of it.
Well, again, thanks a lot, Angela. It's been great talking to you, and I think that will wrap up this conversation between you and I. A little coffee break here.
All right. Thanks so much, Rob. I'll see you when you get to Jacksonville.